everyone, this is Kate from J-Rank Electric. I am here at the Sault locks. We are with Ben, who is going to tell us a little bit about J-Rank Electric's involvement here on the project for the new lock here in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Ben, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, good morning everybody. So we are out here on phase 2 of the new lock project. Phase 1 was the upstream channel deepening, so essentially dredging to make sure that it's deep enough to get all the boats through. We are in phase 2, which is the upper approach wall preparation, so essentially from the west end of the Sabin lock all the way out to the end of the pier here will all get reconstructed. All the concrete, duct bank, all the light poles, all the power, everything will all be demolished and all new will go in. Also, as part of that work, we have to run new temporary power out here because the railroad bridge and the international bridge both use the power out here, and they will need that power during the whole 3-year duration of our project. So kind of a combo part there. So, and then that will all lead into phase 3, which is the lock tank and stuff itself. But right now we're in phase 2 of the project, so it's all upstream approach wall for us.
I heard that phase 1 is still a little bit happening. There's some ships over here, and looks like they're still working on deepening this lock. So what other trades do you work with? So there's people here that are deepening, so they're an earthwork contractor. What other contractors are involved?
Correct. So the upstream deepening is still happening through the end of the year this year, so we are coordinating with them. We kind of overlap. So electricians, operators, they'll probably have some carpentry guys here for formwork and that type of stuff. It's actually a pretty wide variety of trades that will be here, all working on the same project, all doing their own little part.
Okay. So what's our status right now? What we've done so far and what's coming next for our work specifically?
So we're very early in the project right now, so a lot of planning up to this point. All of our layout, safety planning, all that type of stuff is taking place, and we're in the very early stages of our temporary power run right now. That work all has to happen first so that the customers that need that power for the duration can be all set before we start any of the demo work. So the temporary power comes down here from just the west end of the lock, and it will run across through the water here actually, and just comes up right here where conduits start, and will run down the far north side of the pier, so it's out of the harm's way of where we do all the demo and all the new work going in. So very early in the project, we're just starting out the temp power right now.
So temporary power, that keeping power going to the bridges while this project's happening, and then there will be permanent power that goes in later on. But this whole approach wall behind you is coming out and being replaced, is that right?
Correct. All the concrete cap will all come off of it, and all the utilities are in there. Everything will all be demolished, and all brand new will go in so that it's prepped for the new lock.
Okay, that's sounds like some really exciting work, interesting location for sure. Can you take me or tell me who else is working here? Who's our foreman?
Yep, so Jason Clear, local from right here in the Sault, is our foreman today. He's standing right here so he can give you his lineup on things.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you doing, Jason?
Good, Kate.
Let's get you on camera here. All right, so what is your role in this project?
Well, my role is foreman, of course. Right now we've been trying to get the temporary conduit buried in. We're kind of getting stuff figured out today. We've put Schedule 40 in so far. We've got to go to a coilable conduit, which we have to run underwater over to the other side, and then get back into an existing duct bank to get our power back across underneath the existing Sabin lock and into where we need to get our power from.
Okay, so you mentioned running conduit underwater. How does that process work? How do you get conduit under moving water?
What we have to do is get it stretched out. Hopefully the sun will come out here eventually, and it'll relax it so we can be a little more maneuverable because it's on a giant roll right now. And then we're gonna have to fill it full of water for weight to get it to sink, and then we'll have the contractor lay some rock on top of it to hold it down, and then we'll have to blow the water out and terminate on both ends, and then we'll be able to pull our wire through.
So before there's wire through the conduit, there's actually water in it to make it...
Exactly, otherwise the conduit will float.
Right, you've got to get rid of all that air, take
Yep.
out the buoyancy, get it to the bottom. That's
Exactly.
really interesting. I never even considered that.
Yep.
So that's not how the permanent power will be installed. That's
No.
during construction.
This is just temporary.
It'll be sunk to
Yep.
the bottom. Awesome.
Because you need to tear this wall out.
So can you tell me a little bit about your career path and how you got started in the industry?
My dad, believe it or not, was an electrician here at the Sault Locks, and he kind of pushed me a little bit, you know, and it was kind of one of those things that interested me a lot when I was younger, and it just kind of went from there. And I've been an electrician for 30 years now.
30 years in the industry, that's a long time. Have you gotten sick of it yet?
No, I haven't. You know, there's days where, you know, in the wintertime when you got to go out and work out in the cold, you know, it's kind of like, it's kind of hard to get out of bed. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's like, hey, you get up, you go, you put your day in, you get something done, and you've got something to show for it, you know, and you can turn the power on and make somebody happy.
Yeah.
But,
What is that something that you like about the job, seeing something different?
it is. You know, that's one nice thing. You know, we're moving around, we're traveling around. You're not stuck in the same place every day. You know, you get to be out and enjoy the outdoors a lot.
Yeah, you get to see awesome projects like this
Exactly.
happening,
Yep.
work on the water,
Yep.
see these international bridges here. This is awesome to look at. We're inside the Sault Locks here on the far side toward Canada. Still in the U.S., but farther away from the observation deck, which is over that way. If you've visited the locks before, you may recognize some of the buildings over there. But before I leave you, Jason, here, can you tell me what some of the things that are the most interesting you've seen in your career in 30 years in the electrical industry? What do you tell people about when you tell them you've worked on a cool project?
It's just there's, you know, a lot of times, like a couple years ago, the main fiber cable that feeds internet to the UP went bad, and I ran a crew. We went down. We had 6 guys. We went down and we pulled a third of a mile of new fiber across the Mackinac Bridge, or partially on the north approach of the Mackinac Bridge. You know, we were able to go up for a tower tour to go up on top of the bridge, and it's just, you know, there's stuff like that. You know, every day it's something different. You know, it's kind of a few more things you can knock off your bucket list. You know, at the end of
you
the
get
day.
to see a lot that the general public doesn't get to
Exactly.
see. If I wasn't to get to check it out and show all of you what's going on here in this construction. Jason, anything else you'd like to add about careers for these kids?
I would say it's wide open. There's so many trades needed right now, and everybody's so short. Even, you know, I'm in the local 906, and we're definitely short for guys. You know, it's a struggle trying to just keep the jobs, you know, and things are busy, you know, and as long as, you know, and it's just not just electrical, you know, plumbing, heating, you know, welders, you know, there's carpenters, everything, you know.
So it sounds like you're saying pretty much whatever trade you're interested in, there's a job for you.
There's a job for you out there right now.
Awesome.
And
Well, let's take it back over to Ben here. Can you tell us a little bit about your career path and how you got started in the industry?
Yeah, so I would say my career path has been more parallel to the skilled trades kind of. So I actually started out by going to a technical college to get a technical degree that would be like a equivalent of an associate's degree. Worked for a couple of years in that field for about 5 years before I moved back to the UP, and that's when I kind of got started with J-Rank. Actually very entry level. I worked in their warehouse. So I supplied material, equipment, all that stuff out to job sites, worked with electricians to get them whatever they needed. So just a very basic support role. And then after a couple of years of that, I moved into an estimating position, which is a little more in depth. So taking the knowledge that I'd learned just working in the warehouse and applying it to figure out what a job would cost so you can put a bid on a job and get work. Learned a lot there as well, and then transitioned into now a project management role, which I still see as a support role really. Now I'm doing the planning to make sure that the guys have the material they need, the equipment they need, safety equipment that they need, personal protective equipment, all that type of stuff, all in place to make them successful. So I really see my job now as supporting the skilled trades guys. It's my job to make sure that they can do their job well. So really parallel to the skilled trades. I enjoy working with the guys because one thing that I've experienced with almost all the skilled tradesmen that I work with is they're very proud of their work. They get to come out to cool sites like this, be it the Mackinac Bridge or here at the locks, mine sites, just anything you can imagine. And at the end of the day, they get to go home and they're they're able to tell family and friends when they drive by and say, hey, I got to be a part of that. I got to put my hand there, and that's going to be a legacy that's there for years to come. And they just do great work, and they're proud of what they do, and so it's awesome to work with those guys.
Thank you so much for explaining all of that about your career path. Can you tell me what some of the most interesting things you've worked on, some of the most projects that you tell people about when you explain what you do for a living?
So actually with my family, if you ask my kids about it, they'll joke because I drive around and point to everything I've ever done. We've done the DMS signs out here locally, all kinds of stuff that I drive by and I jokingly say, I built that, when they know that I had a real small part of it. But I really am proud of all the work that we do, but some of the cooler stuff would be some mine projects down off US 2. We put in miles of conveyor. We've done all kinds of stuff like that. That's just really neat to go see. It's something new that you're not normally around, even out here at the locks. Being out here, very few people get to come see this stuff and do it. I've been in the deep service tunnels. I've been through different areas of the locks that a lot of people will never see, and it's just really neat stuff to see and cool projects to be a part of.
Absolutely. So I'll show you just a bit. These aren't our crews here, so I don't want to get them on video too much, but just show you what's going on over by the bridges there. It looks like they're still working on deepening these the waterway there for this new lock that's under construction. And again, this is the approach wall that's going to be demolished, and the reason that we're here right now to replace that with the temporary power to keep those bridges running during construction. So what kinds of things are on the bridges that need power? Lighting, probably some security stuff?
So if you pan down here, this railroad bridge is actually open right now. So when the boats and barges and stuff come through, that railroad bridge has to be up and taken past over. And the train crosses, that bridge needs to be back down so the train can cross. So that bridge has to move every time the train crosses, which is, I think, typically once or twice a day. So that bridge has to remain in use. And then I think on the International, it's just some of their lighting and stuff up there that they derive power for.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got a shout out here. It's a comment actually coming in from J Rank Electric, one of our coworkers, saying hi and thanking us, or thanking you. I'm not a UP staff member, but you are. Thanking you for all you do and welcoming us to your area for the day, for the morning here to film. We're gonna take some questions from the crowd if they come in here. Please get them in the comments. I'm seeing them coming in from Facebook. Haven't seen anything from YouTube yet. But if you've got questions, please send them in and we'll get them answered here while we're talking to Ben, and we'll get Jason back over here if there's anything for him to talk about. But Ben, do you have advice for these students who are making decisions about what career they might want to pursue, if they want to go into the trades, or which trade they might want to go into if they're sure they want to do a trades career? What advice do you have?
Absolutely. I would say do a little bit of research. When you're driving around, look at what's going on around you for construction. Look at the different trades, see what looks interesting to you. Ask questions. You can get a hold of contractors to do that type of work. If you call them and start asking questions, everybody's in need of tradesmen, so they're happy to tell you about the trades that they work with and see if that's something that interests you. So I would say just really do your research, look as you drive around, see what's out there, and see what interests you, and then reach out to people. You might be able to ask your teachers or your principal at your school. They know families that, hey, I know a guy that's an operator, hey, I know a guy that's an electrician, and they can point you in the right direction to at least get you started. Finding out the information that you need to find out if it's something you do want to pursue. They're great careers. They pay well, there's a lot of variety, they're interesting, and you're doing work that you can be proud of when you're done. So.
Awesome. So we do have some questions coming in. We have one that says, what are some of the issues that they encounter on jobs specific to the UP? I imagine weather is some of it.
Definitely our seasons are a little bit different, even than downstate. Sometimes projects get started downstate, or a project might be designed downstate where they think you can get started sooner than maybe you really can. We've had snow as recently as last week. So sometimes weather is an issue up here. Our construction season is just a touch shorter. It is a little bit harder to find guys as well, just not as much population here, so you got a little bit less resources. Material can also be an issue. A lot of the larger material supplies are multiple hours away, so you just got to plan ahead and do your best to take all that into account.
Yeah, I actually heard as we were coming in this morning that the crews that are working here right now come in on a barge each morning and out. Is that how that works? Like, there's water around, so you've got to just getting to your job site is
Correct.
a whole
And that's
process.
something else that's cool about every job is a little bit different in safety aspects and transportation aspects. So all the material and all the guys will actually come to this site on a barge or a boat, depending on when they're coming. Because we're basically on an island right now. I mean, there's gates across at the lock, but you can't have as many guys as we're going to have on site all crossing those gates every day. So everyone will come over on a boat. So that's why we're wearing the life vest this morning. Something new and different, right? Something you don't deal with on a typical job. So that's something else that's cool in the skilled trades. You get to see something new all the time. You're dealing with something different all the time. It just keeps things interesting.
You mentioned the life vest. That actually leads into another question. What are some of the things that you do in your role and that our crews do to keep themselves and each other safe at work?
So a big part of safety is from the very beginning of the project, you need to look at all aspects of the project and figure out in advance the best way to do something to keep all the guys safe. I want every guy to go home at the end of the day. They all want to go home at the end of the day. So you got to really plan things out to do it the most safe way and then to have all the proper safety equipment. So you really got to evaluate that on every project because like life jackets is a good example because we've never used them at any other site. We've never needed that. So you really have to look at each job individually and see what's needed and get the appropriate stuff.
Awesome. Okay, so another question that's come in on Facebook. Harvey asks, how long is this project going to take?
So our phase 2, is a 3-year phase. So it just started this spring, including the planning and stuff. So in 3 years, if things go on schedule, it will be complete.
Okay, and do you know if the Corps has said when they hope to have the new lock fully operational?
I do not know about their final completion date. I know that phase 3, I think is going to be in the design and bidding phase this year. I think it will overlap with the end of phase 2. So in theory, if it's a 6 or 7 year project to do and it starts in roughly 2 years, that'll give you kind of an idea, but it just all depends on how construction progresses and funds and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So we had one question come in here. I'll flip this around. It says it was a question for Jason, but Jason, though he is in local 906, isn't someone who necessarily speaks for the whole local, but I know from my experience, each local in the IBEW typically has someone who is recruiting and would absolutely come talk to high school students. So Mr. Parr at Newberry High School asked about Local 906 being willing to come talk to students at Newberry High School. We can definitely help you get in touch with them, and that's, I'm sure, something that either 906 or another local would be absolutely interested in because they are always looking for new good tradespeople to add to the workforce. So I think there's a good shot there for you, Mr. Parr. So I think that's everything we've gotten so far as questions. Ben, you've already given your advice. Is there anything else you'd like to tell about any interesting things on this project or another project that you'd like to share before we wrap this video up?
I guess another thing I guess I would give advice to the students is don't feel a ton of pressure to know what you want to do the rest of your life the day you graduate. I know if you're a junior or senior already, everybody you talk to is saying, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you're out of school?" Do the investigation. Just look for things that interest you, and just continue to do that until you graduate. And don't feel like you need to have the rest of your life planned out. Things change. I've been through a lot of different types of work to get to where I'm at, and I've enjoyed all of them for different reasons, and they've all supported me, and I've done well. So I would just say,
I couldn't say it better. I'll give it just a couple more minutes here. So, you're not on camera, it's me. So we'll see if we have any more questions coming in, but if not, that's what it looks like here on this side of the Sault locks. If you do have questions, pop them in the comments, and we'll get them answered either while we're live here still or in the comments later on. We appreciate everyone tuning in. This is our last scheduled Skilled Trades Live video. We could potentially come back for something down the road if there's a lot of interest or a lot of questions, but this is the last one we have scheduled at this point. I do want to mention before I sign off that there is a J-Rank Electric scholarship for those who are graduating high school and going into the trades. So we'll get that information posted here on the Facebook page, and so you can get the link to the application. The application stays open all year, and then candidates who have applied will be evaluated and selected in the fall. So if you are thinking about going into the trades, we absolutely would love to have you apply for one of those scholarships. We give away, we award, I think in the past it's been $500 scholarships each year. So if you are going to a trade school, if you're in an apprenticeship and you're buying books for that apprenticeship school, that's absolutely something that we would love to support you doing. And if you have questions, absolutely, comments. Otherwise, we are headed out of here, and let's see. We do have questions. They went off screen on me. And we have the link for the scholarship. Awesome. So we have one more question that I'm not sure if it was for me or for Ben, but I can explain my role. I work in the office, so I don't get to see this cool stuff very often. I've actually really loved the opportunity to get out here on site and see kind of behind the scenes aspect of it. But I think this question was probably more for Ben. It says, what is your role with JRE and how did you get there? So I'll flip this camera back around, Ben. So you said you're a project manager. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so most of my work is done in an office. I'm not out here on site real often either, quite honestly. I might make it out here a couple times during a project. If they have an issue, something we need to look at to figure out how to solve, then I'd be at the site. Often at the very beginning, I come to the site just to get a feel for what the site looks like. If there's anything special the guys might need to get around the site or anything safety-wise or anything like that. But the majority of my work is done in the office from a planning perspective, and then also from maintaining financials throughout the project. How are we doing? Are we on schedule? Are we behind schedule? That type of thing. And then changing our planning accordingly. If we're ahead of schedule, we might need some materials sooner that we hadn't planned on, or if we're behind, you may need to delay something. So, or figure out how to get back on track. Do you need more guys, different guys, you know? So I'm pretty much coordinating is really what I'm doing throughout the project.
Thank you so much for that explanation. So you said you've done project management and estimating. Is there different ways that people get into those careers? Because I know you said you started in the warehouse and kind of progressed up on the office side of things, but a lot of your coworkers as estimators or project managers, maybe half are previous electricians, right?
Absolutely, and that would be a more typical path than the path that I took. A lot of people, so like Jason, for instance, would have started out as an apprentice. After his apprenticeship, he became a journeyman. He's now a foreman for us, so he runs projects. It would be out of the ordinary for a foreman position. Sorry about the noise here. From the foreman position, then into either a general foreman position or into a project management position, because they take the knowledge that they've gained over years and years of completing projects, and then they apply that to the planning process and running that project. So absolutely, all those positions can flow right out of the trades. You might spend 20 years as an electrician and then become a project manager using all the knowledge that you've now gained. So
that's two routes to it. There's actually a third that I just thought of. There is some project managers who go to school for construction management at a 4-year degree. It's not something that's absolutely necessary depending on the company or the specific type of project management role that you want to do. But this is basically, there are lots of different ways to get into these careers. So we have a question here that I'll field. It says, does a person apply to the IBEW local or directly to J-Rank? The answer is, it depends. So basically, the IBEW, you have to be, I believe, 18 before you can apply. So if someone is in high school, that's something where we would recommend a summer job at J-Rank, apply directly to J-Rank for that. But that would not be a full-on apprenticeship. That all of the education for actually being an electrician is through the IBEW. So you apply to the apprenticeship program. There are some jobs that you don't have to go through an apprenticeship for, like being a groundman in the IBEW. That is sort of like a laborer. A lot of times they're groundman drivers where they have a CDL and they're able to drive commercial vehicles. CDL is commercial driver's license. So groundmen work Again, they apply through the IBEW, sign the books there, and then they would come to work for J-Rank Electric. So the only time that someone usually would apply directly directly at J-Rank Electric would be for an office position. Everything else, office or warehouse, everything else in the field comes through from the IBEW locals that we work with. So I did see some clarification here that the question, they were looking for information from me on my role with Jerry and how I got there. So I do some HR and some marketing and communications things. So talking about the careers and how they fit into all of the construction projects that we've shown you is something that I find particularly interesting, because making sure that the company has the people in place to do the work that we need is part of human resources in general. And I'm the tech savvy one who came up with the idea to do these videos, so I got volunteered to be the on-screen talent too. So I appreciate everyone who's tuned in and who's watched these throughout. I apologize for missing those questions for a minute there, but got them now. And I do actually, while I still have you, I want to apologize for last week as well when we had some technical difficulty with our stream. Looks like everything is going well this time as far as I can see. So I want to thank you for your patience last time and let you know if you did miss it after we were attempting to go live, we had the video posted later Wednesday night last week. So it is on YouTube and then shared to Facebook. So if you missed last week's from the Ann Arbor water treatment plant, where they prepare drinking water to come to taps all over Ann Arbor, that video is online too. So again, if you go back and watch any of the 4 videos we've done and something comes up and you have a question for us, absolutely get a hold of us. There is a form on jrank.com/skilledtrades. If you want to use that to get a hold of us, you can. That goes straight to emails to us in the HR department. So I think that's really all I have to talk about. I thank everyone for coming with us and going on these journeys around to different J-Rank Electric sites, and I appreciate all of the teachers who have set aside classroom time to show this to their students or promoted it with their students, passed on. We'd love to have you continue to your interest, the students continue your interest in the trades and pursue it as a career, because there are some good career paths here in the skilled trades, and it's there for you. The opportunity is there. So I'll sign off and thank everyone one last time. I'll catch you later.